Alright guys, so Fula coming at you with another video. Shout outs to the whole LDBC. Make sure you download the app, LDBC app. Make sure you sign up for a free profile, Lions Den Boxing channel. Yeah, so what I wanted to do is comment on the comments made by Barry Hearn. You know, he basically said some comments in a press conference about like how the old guard of boxing used to be that like promoters were slave masters and the boxers were just basically slaves, and that they would just have no, basically in essence they would have no say in what direction they wanted their career to go in, and that the promoters would be the ones who are in charge of all of that, and that, you know, he's not used to this changing of the guard. I mean, I think he said that like he has to call the boxers sir and things of that nature, and whatnot. And Dillian White, because they were doing the Oscar Rivas Dillian White, press up. Dillian White just stood there and kind of just giggled and laughed along with it. My thoughts on that is that, like, it's expected. I'm not surprised, because at the end of the day, like, it's always been that way. It's always been that, that unfortunately sports and social issues usually collide with each other. Sports and politics usually collide with each other. At the end of the day, sports are supposed to be recreational and things that are fun, that are for entertainment purposes, but usually social issues and politics crawl into sports. And what I have to say about this whole thing is that, it's no surprise, because, I'm just going to give a little bit of history of what I know from what I've experienced. And that is the simple fact that in Europe, there was never no civil rights movement. In Europe, there was never no mass mobilization of, immigrants of African origins who like created a grassroots movement that really tackled the systematic racism that occurs in Europe against Africans, and this goes back to, it's a generational thing, it's a really deep history that would take probably 5 or 10 videos to really dissect and give you the actual gist of everything. But I mean, when you look at situations like that, it's just someone showing their true colors, and you can't be mad at him showing his true colors because of the position he's in, because of the position his forefathers were in too. Let's be honest. These are the same forefathers that basically colonized Africa. And these are the same forefathers that, basically usurped Africa of all its natural resources. And that includes men as well, free labor, right? So if you've been in that position for so long, and if your lineage has been in that position for so long, then of course you're going to feel comfortable saying those words, because even in different sports in Europe, it works the same way, with football or soccer. you have, some of these managers have been openly like blatant with how they feel about players of different ethnic backgrounds or ethnic minorities. You know, you've had whole football organizations who feel a certain way towards ethnic minorities. So with that being said, we shouldn't expect anything less from Barry Hearn, because it's a cultural thing. It's not just like individual thing. It runs in the culture, because during football games, even you have racist chants, you have bananas and stuff like that. And I know like some European will come to this page and say, oh, we're past that and stuff like that, but they're in denial, because the reality is still the way it stands. It's in the society. Casual racism is in that society, because I grew up in that society, so I know. We also got to look at the simple fact that it's a catch-22, because while we Africans and other minorities go to Europe in drones to escape like conflicts in our country, things like that, a lot of the conflicts in our country are caused by or assisted by people like Dillian White, who will collaborate with the Barry Hearns to do things like that, because he gets a piece of the pie, and what's important to him is him getting a piece of the pie and nobody else getting a piece of the pie. So we've always had lackeys like that. We've always had dudes who just won't stand up and won't speak out against things like that, So, this is just history like playing itself over again. But at the same time, some things are better left unsaid, or if he must say something, to reminisce about the old days, there's different ways he could have worded it that weren't so offensive, And the way I look at it is that he could have said, back in the days, we weren't used to like having to really play second fiddle to the fighter or something like that. He could have did it in a different way, but he decided that he wasn't going to do it like that. He just decided that he wasn't going to have no filters, and that the true colors were going to come out. But this should be like I like to look at things and try to find like the good in everything. Even in a bad situation, try to find the good. And in this situation, I hope this will lead us, who's an inspiring fighter, to really just invest in themselves more and really do business in a way that's going to benefit themselves, and do business that is really going to put themselves in positions where they don't have to be like a Dillian White, where they can just have dignity, and stand for something. I hope this situation will make fighters look in that direction, because at the end of the day, personally, I think a fighter should be able to fight. And when a fighter fights, that he shouldn't be worried about money. He shouldn't be worried about saving face or keeping dignity. He should already have that covered. His money should already be good. And I guarantee you that if your money is good, I guarantee you that if you're not like begging and stuff like that, or that you're not under a promoter who feels that way, I guarantee you're going to fight better too. I guarantee you it'll be more of an organic, more of a natural fight, you know, when you have those things taken care of. You know, I'm not going to lie to you. There were revolutionary figures who could have actually played professional sports, but decided not to play professional sports, but were that good that they could have went into the pros, but they had a bigger purpose. But the fact of the matter is they did it as a recreation, and they did it at such a high level as a recreation that it could have been pro. It could have been professional if they wanted to. But that just goes to show they had that other areas covered where they can do it in dignity. You know, Amilcar Cabral was one of them. You know, Fidel Castro was one of them. Thomas Sankara, you know, he could have been a cyclist, basically. So, with that being said, this is a reminder for myself that, you know, basically invest in yourself. Basically, do things yourself. And if you need help from like a promoter, or if you need help from someone, make sure that that person isn't going to be like a Barry Hearn. Make sure that person ain't going to be like a Bob Arum. Make sure that person ain't going to be like a Eddie Hearn. And if you have to work with someone like that, make sure it's a partnership. Don't let it be you being the slave and him being the master. That's all I got for now, guys. Leave your comments, leave your thoughts. Full of Sports, I'm out.